name is Felicia Wright, and this is the Go Rogue podcast. Do you feel stuck? Does every day feel like Groundhog's Day? Well, I'm here to tell you it's time to take charge of your life and know that you are meant for more than this. It's time to go rogue. This podcast is for people that are ready to say enough is enough and discover their new normal with entrepreneurship. Get ready because your rogue journey starts now. Let's get into it. Welcome to episode 12, and in this episode, I am going to talk about 3 ways to reframe your thinking, which is super important if you are trying to make a big change in your life. You are going to have to reframe your thinking. So before I hop into that, I have an announcement. I am super excited to share with you that we are going to 2 episodes a week here at the Go Rogue podcast. Yay! Cue the music or something. So I will be releasing 2 episodes per week starting this week of October 20. Well, today is October 23rd. But starting this week, I'm going to be releasing 2 episodes. So up until this point, I have just done episodes by myself. And there was a reason for that. And I'm just going to share that with you because I think that's important and it'll help you if you are thinking about starting a podcast or doing anything. So the reason why I started with the solo podcast was because I was very unsure. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know what my messaging was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to work. And I was nervous. So I really just wanted to start with just me and get used to being behind the mic and just talking to myself. And I'm talking to you, but I'm in my office by myself. I feel like I'm talking to myself. It's kind of goofy, but that's how I feel. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to do it before I started to factor in somebody else. So the first episode of the week on Tuesdays, it's just a solo episode, just me talking. And then with some gold nuggets, of course. And then my second episode will be most likely Thursdays or Fridays. And I'm still trying to iron out like the perfect days to release. So if please reach out to me and let me know, what do you think would be good days to release the podcast episodes? Because that's something I'm still working on. I love Tuesdays, but then I'm thinking about how and when to release the second episode. At first I was thinking Fridays, but then Fridays I'm like, I don't know, maybe not. And then Thursdays, it's like Tuesday, Thursdays, I think that sounds good, but those are really close together, so I don't know. So reach out to me. You can hit me up in the Go Rogue community on Facebook, or you can find me on my Facebook business page, or you can email me and let me know what do you think are the best days to release podcast episodes. So as soon as I iron that out, I will definitely let you know, but as of right now, it's going to be Tuesdays and Fridays. Yes, so this Friday, I am going to be releasing my first interview, and I'm super excited. And I am featuring business owners that are women that have their own rogue story, and it's really exciting. And some of these stories, I'm telling you, it just really speaks to how powerful women can be and how resilient we are and what we can make happen when our backs are up against the wall. So I know you're going to love those episodes. I'm really excited. And even in a couple of the episodes, I told my guests, I'm like, hey, I feel like I'm getting the most out of this, like just listening to them, and they're so inspirational. So be excited for that. That is coming down the pipeline. So that is what is happening. So 2 episodes a week coming out of the Go Rogue podcast. 1 episode is me dropping some value, sharing my story and the things that I have learned and continuing to learn, because I am far from perfect. And I continue to share things that I'm struggling with and things that I'm trying. So you'll get that from me on Tuesdays, and then you'll have the interview episodes that come out on Friday. So I'm really excited, and Go Rogue is expanding and doing all the things over here. So super exciting. So let's dive into this episode. So this episode, I'm talking about 3 ways to reframe your thinking. So why am I even talking about this? So, anytime we are trying to do something big in our lives, it requires change. And one of the things that holds us back is our thinking patterns. And our thinking patterns are basically just habits that we have formed. So, and I know this is something that I continue to struggle with, and I have improved tremendously, but it took a lot of effort. And I'm going to go over that and how I did it. But I don't want you to think that I am perfect over here, because I am not. It is literally something that I have to continually work on every single day. So if you find yourself constantly talking down to yourself and telling yourself that you can't do it, or what are people going to think, that is a habit that you have formed for yourself. That negative thought process of constantly telling yourself, what if this doesn't work? What if people laugh at me? My family might see me fail. That is a habit that you formed and a frame of thinking. So I want to talk about what we can do about that, because believe it or not, whether you know it or not, it is holding you back. It is affecting how you make decisions. It is affecting how you are showing up in the world. And you have to fix that first before you really see significant changes. And keep in mind, you are not going to be perfect. Like, you're not going to come, like, after doing these things, not going to be like, oh, I am so zen and I don't have to do anything. I'm perfect. No, should always be constantly trying to improve ourselves. And this is one of those things where it's just an ongoing process, and you're just going to have to get comfortable with the process. And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn. I just have to get comfortable with the process, because I was just seriously waiting for the day that I would be perfect and, I wouldn't have to do any of this stuff anymore. But I'm slowly realizing that is not the case. So, the first thing that I want to go over with you is you have to know what is happening. So, you have to be aware. You have to know what is swirling around in that noggin of yours. You have to know. And the reason why I mean, you've heard it everywhere. It's like, oh, you have to know. You have to be aware. Yes, you have to even know that you're doing it first to change it. So in the very beginning, before I started, or right at the beginning when I started this journey of entrepreneurship, oh, that's my sister calling, interrupting my podcast. Shout out to my sister. Um, Anywho, in the very beginning, when I started my journey, I had to really think about how I was going to change and make this massive leap into being an entrepreneur and a business owner. So I started doing that research, and everybody was like, mindset, mindset, mindset. And you're still going to continue to hear that because it's important. So when I started to dive into that, I really got clear on like what I was telling myself consistently. And for me, it was always like, well, that's never going to work. What if you do it and you fail? That's a big one for me. It's like, what if you fail? And that, just being aware of when it was happening, was really hard, because it was a tape that had been put in, and it was like literally playing 24/7. So then it became background noise to the point where I didn't hear it anymore. And think about it. Have you ever been somewhere where they're playing music in the background? Maybe it's happening outside and it's been playing for so long that you start to tune it out and zone it out. That has happened to me, and that's what happens with your thinking. You start to tune it out and zone it out, but it's still in your head and it's playing. You're still hearing it. So your brain is still taking in those negative thoughts, even though you are not actively aware of it. So becoming actively aware of it is the very first step in knowing when it happens. The second step is to ask yourself, when these thoughts happen, I want you to ask yourself right away, are these thoughts true? Are they true? Because in when you go on this journey, you kind of almost have to be like an investigator. Take your emotions out of it And when something comes in and you think, what if this doesn't work? Ask yourself, is this true? So if the thought pattern comes in, what if this doesn't work? I want you to ask yourself, it's like, well, I don't know that yet. I have no idea until I try. Because that's the truth. What if it doesn't work? That's not the truth. That's just you assuming that it's not going to work. So flip that on its head and start asking those questions and investigating. It's like, wait, I don't even know if it's not going to work. I have to try. I have to do these steps to figure out if it will work. So that puts you in more of a position of empowerment, in a position to actually try, because that's the biggest part, is just trying and not giving up before you start. So putting yourself in that position to try and then start moving forward with that. So another thought pattern might be, well, this is stupid. So then think about it. It's like, well, is it stupid? Are are my dreams or anybody else's dreams stupid? So you really have to start questioning those thoughts that are popping up in your head consistently, because then you'll start to realize that you, with those negative thoughts, you're kind of lying to yourself. These thoughts are not true. They're just that negative Nancy in your head that nobody wants to sit with at the lunch table, that's constantly telling you, like, oh, you suck at life. It's like, no, Nancy, shut your face, Nancy. Okay, I'm not talking to a real Nancy. I'm making up a fake Nancy, so no one take offense. So I like to picture like a little Nancy with a giant boil on her nose, because obviously, because she's awful. So tell negative Nancy to go sit down and stop listening to her, is what I'm trying to get at after that long ramble. So investigate those thoughts. And first, I want you to write down the things that you are constantly telling yourself, because that's specific to everybody. The main one for me was, what if it doesn't work? And what if it fails, or it's going to fail? So I want you to write those down on a list, and then right next to the negative beliefs, thoughts, thinking, I want you to disprove it and write that down right next to it. So instead of it's not going to work, write down next to it, this will work if I try. That's way more empowering than this will never work. So write those down and disprove those thoughts. And the third step I want to go over was, now you have to break those habits and break those patterns, which I'm not going to lie to you, it's not easy, but it's worth it if you try. It's worth it if you try. So I want you to start saying the positive thinking, the positive thoughts that you wrote down to yourself in the morning and right before you go to bed. And this is super important. And honestly, you'll start to see a difference pretty fast. Um, for me, I saw a difference after the first time of doing it. And then I got lazy, because, that happens. And I fell off, and I was like, okay, I got to cut this out. I have to be consistent. And that's the key. You have to be consistent. And then once I started getting consistent, and I'm pretty consistent with it now, like, not only am I seeing a change within me, I'm starting to see a change outside of me. The things that I'm doing, and the changes that I'm seeing, and getting excited about what I'm doing. So saying that to yourself consistently in the morning and at night will make a huge difference, but you have to do it. You have to do it. And to make it easy on yourself, you can pick like 3 that you can say to yourself in the morning, and 3 before you go to bed. It's really up to you. Just find a rhythm and something that you're comfortable with, that you can sustain, because that's where the money is. Like, you have to be able to keep it up. So that is the most important heart. So I hope that was helpful. I know it has made a change for me, and the more I do it, the better I get, and the differences I start to see. So I want that for you as well. So you really have to reframe your thinking. So the first step is being aware of what you're thinking. The second step is to ask yourself, are these thoughts even true? Am I lying to myself? I need to investigate them and then write them down and flip them on their heads and write down some new positive thoughts that you can start to say to yourself to form that new habit. And then the third step is that I want you to practice it in the morning and before you go to bed, and be consistent with it and do it all the time. Even after you see some results, because that's me. Like, I see the results, I'm like, yes, I can stop. No, don't do that. Don't be me. Don't do that to yourself. Just keep at it and you'll continue to see more positive growth. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you're excited about the interviews that are coming up this week. If you are forging ahead with your rogue journey, definitely head over to bit.ly/rogue community. That is my Go Rogue community on Facebook, where other women have started their rogue journey. So hop in there, introduce yourself, and definitely know or let us know what you are up to and what you are trying to accomplish, because we would love to support you. So thank you for dropping by. Please tune in later this week for that interview, and I will catch you next time. Go out there and take some inspired action today.